Salvis Search for the Universe, Chapter 18, Part 1. The air was filled with a warm, sticky haze. Brown shielded his eyes as he bounced on horseback. What a fool he had been! What an inexcusable blunder! Why did he agree to take the horse? He had never ridden one before, but that wasn't the problem. It seemed obvious. All you were doing was sitting and letting the horse do all the work. And walking was the source of his misery. It sounded too good to be true, but how wrong he was. It twisted muscles he didn't even know he had, and rubbed his thighs beyond raw. His entire gut was sore. It was like bending a piece of metal until it snapped, forced to twist this way or that on the horse's back. Their brief sojourn in Gribback had helped somewhat, but his thighs still burnt like hell. His skin looked like snake scales, blistered and red, healing only to be scraped down once again. He was beginning to worry that they would never heal. Sitting atop the horse, with nothing to do but look and wait, in between hot flashes of pain, he felt himself slip into some sort of transcendent zen. Was this how the monks in the north, who kicked each other in the testicles and whacked themselves with sticks until they were immune to pain? What was pain, anyway? It was all in your mind, intransigent, and the flesh. The flesh was so fleeting. Braum? He snapped to. Are you going to sit on the horse all day? The scout sent half-lidded eyes at him. His face was passive, but Braum knew somewhere inside he was criticizing his riding techniques. Braum looked up and was startled to see the massive walls of Panas looking down on him. "When did we get here?" he asked accidentally, but managed to salvage it with an ironic smirk. The scout didn't look amused, but he didn't look unamused either, and that was good enough for him. He dismounted and lined up behind Tybalt, aside from the head scout and other captain, who Braum was almost certain hated him after his unprecedented promotion from tent leader to captain. His outfit didn't even fit him properly. They walked to the gate as the rest of the company readied to make camp outside the walls. They would be let inside eventually, but as a rule of thumb, cities tended to dislike when people tried to march foreign armies through their gates without clearing everything up first. He looked back and was suddenly shocked to realize that he wasn't there. He was in fact right here. It had happened 4 days ago, but even now he could scarcely believe it. He certainly wasn't going to complain. He gave the hurrying soldiers another glance and appreciated all the work he didn't need to do. They shrank in the distance as Tybalt and his retinue approached the gate. The guards saluted the extravagant knight as he passed, Braum had only been inside Panas once, and it was still as enormous as he remembered it. "Greetings, Sir Tybalt," cried someone from the side. He stood in robes of white, with arms outstretched in greeting, his face middle-aged. "Welcome to Panas. We've been expecting you." Tybalt removed his helmet, his hair curly and sweaty, and returned the greeting with a simple nod. The man bowed. "My name is Malar Contesi, the Justicator of the Royal Court." "Your Honour," Tybalt nodded again. "Why has the Keeper of Panas Justice come to greet us, instead of one of the court's attendants? Has my band done something that offends you?" "No, no." Malar waved his hands cheerily. "None of the sort. The messages I've come to deliver are simply judicial in nature, and I thought it best to give them to you in person. It is all good news." Tybalt's rocky expression urged him to continue. "The creature you were after has already been apprehended by the good men of the Panas Guard and is currently in our custody, and "You've captured her," Braum blurted out, caught the eyes staring down at him, and felt himself turn red, feeling an utter fool. "Yes, the creature has been captured, and he lowered his voice. "Pendant has been returned to safe hands as well." "Well, that is good news," Tybalt shocked dryly. "My men will be disappointed they were not the ones to do it after coming this far. But this is good news, and so it seems we are no longer needed here." "Do not be so hasty. There is news still." Malar reached into his robes and pulled out a sheet of parchment, emblazoned with the royal seal. "After Grand Councillor Manacle's death, the Grand Councillor is dead?" Tybalt asked, shocked. "Malar, how is this good news? Did you not tell me that all you had was good news?" "Ah." Malar paused. "My apologies, it simply slipped my mind. Absolutely. It is most unfortunate, though without him stonewalling the succession. The court nobles have decided that a successor will be named by the end of next month. They have already issued summons to each of the noble houses. Naturally, one has been sent to Lord Farrell's, and as his prospective heir, your presence is required as well. We've already arranged rooms for you and your retainers inside the royal palace, and boarding for your soldiers inside the barracks." He flashed an apologetic smile. "Though it pains me to add, and perish the thought, but I must inform you that failure to attend this event will be tantamount to treason." Tybalt nodded. "No, it's understandable." He looked behind to address the first captain. "Inform the soldiers of the change of plans. Meet me in the palace as soon as their lodgings has been seen to." "Yes, sir." He saluted and left. Tybalt returned to Malar. "Lead the way," was all he said. Malar bowed. He turned the retinue close at his back. Braum should be overjoyed. His heart should be doing somersaults and shouting in glee. There was no mistaking it. He was going to get a room in the royal palace. The royal palace. And not for a day, not for 2, but an entire month. An entire month of pomp and luxury. An entire month without marching. He could even visit the royal physician. Truly, he should be overjoyed. He should be writhing in pleasure and relief. Yet, why were his feelings so clouded? Why? Why did he feel this way? He actually knew the answer. He just didn't want to admit it. Serves him right. She sent his life and the entire city of Luhorn into chaos. The amount of money wasted on this manhunt, 200 strong, exceeded anything any normal person could repay, let alone kobolds. She deserved it. Truly, she did. But he could not help if his heart felt it differently.
Excellent.
Rondo paced up and down the dank cobbles, animated, excited.
Yes, excellent.
Everything was coming together.
You've done an excellent job, White Eyes. Yes,
he replied, staring off into space. Rondo turned his eyes to the creature in the cage, lit only by the dim flickering of the nearby lamp and the scarce light that travelled down from the ventilation shaft some 20 feet above. It was bound and gagged, for good reason, anyone could attest. It stared at him with defiant eyes. Manarkel's meek assistant cowered in the corner. He grinned, light leaking between his fingers. He spread open one hand to reveal the pendant, glowing bright as a white fire. He turned his gaze to his other palm. His lips peeled back to reveal his devilish smile as the fingers spread back one by one, revealing the other pendant. Sinister shadows played across his face. He snuffed them again and stuffed them into his pockets. He hadn't the power to marry them, but that would come in time. In time.
White Eyes, torture the kobold than the boy. Make them sing everything they know.
He laced his fingers behind his back and stepped into a dignified stride.
As much as I love to see you do your work, I have many preparations to attend to. Yes.
He passed cage by cage, glancing inside each one as a small smile crept to his lips. All those that had opposed him, locked away like animals in a cage. It was all too perfect. His eyes fell on Manarkel, and his smile grew to a sinister grin.
Did you know everyone thinks you're dead?
Manarkel did not reply. He could not reply, only stare fire from behind the bars. He had that look in his eyes, that look that powerless people seem to get, when they thought they had the last laugh, when you went to burn in hell. How amusing that look always was.
Though you might as well be. It's not as if you're leaving this place alive. However, whether or not your corpse leaves this place in one piece is entirely up to you.
How he wished he had controlled himself, as much as he loathed to admit it. The information inside Manacle's brain was far too valuable to become mere food for the worms, and extracting that information was proving quite tiresome through that broken jaw of his. His doctors assured him it would heal soon enough, but in the meantime he would be forced to tolerate the man's existence. Manacle's eyes never broke his. He turned, chuckled, and left. He was White Eyes. He was also numb, languid, and frankly depressed. He turned his dull eyes to the kobold, blinked perhaps 3 times in the whole minute he held eye contact. He sighed, opened the cage, and seized the kobold by the arm. Again it tried to struggle, but it was so weak. So weak. He squeezed hard, hoping for anything. It let out a muffled yelp, but that was all. The young man stared in horror as he dragged the kobold out of the cell and stumbled down the dank corridors of the dungeon. He brought it to a room with instruments so grotesque and grim. Tools to make a believer of any man. Saws and irons, hammers and spikes, the choke pair, pillywinks, iron contraptions to pull men apart, iron contraptions to compress them until their spines snapped. Rats squeaked somewhere. What they were for, only the most morbid could imagine. The creature was stupid, but it understood. It knew what this room was. Its slitted eyes darted the room in nervous upheaval. He gripped it by the neck and could practically feel the deathly chill as he travelled down its spine.
I'm going to ask you questions, and you're going to answer them immediately. Do you understand?
He pinched hard. It nodded. He undid the knot that secured the gag in its mouth and let it fall to the floor.
What is your name?
He asked without a trace of emotion.
Salvi!
Why are you here?
Salvi find Itty.
What is Itty?
Universe Itty.
She sang desperately, looking pained, genuinely pained at the need to reveal such information.
Place human go. Get smart. Salvi want get smart. Itty in panas. Salvi look Itty. Salvi want steal Itty.
He blinked, long, languid, and blank.
You want to steal the university?
It nodded desperately, showing no signs whatsoever. Not even the faintest glimmer of awareness that such a thing was not only utterly impossible, but also catastrophically stupid.
And a pendant?
Mine!
It insisted. He understood. He understood everything now. Through some twist of fate, some wrinkle in the pattern, this creature not only found itself embroiled with fate and schemes far greater than itself, but also clutched the very linchpin in its claws through nothing but blind luck. It was as if the gods, so consumed by guilt for creating such a retarded creature, sought fit to balance the scales by endowing it with prodigious luck. He wished he could laugh. He never laughed. He recalled it all the time wasted, all the shame, all the respect and excitement. He felt the world's greatest fool. But if feeling the fool were the full extent of it, he would not feel the way he did. No, what he felt was missing. He felt the emptiness, the utter absence. It was false, but for those moments he had felt something. He became aware that he did not know what he desired, only for it to be ripped from his chest and revealed to be nothing but a grand, cosmic joke. He blinked, his jaw slacked, face limp. He turned around, dragging the kobold behind him like an old rag, its protesting noises lost, waddling in his ears from the end of a tunnel a mile long. He opened the cage, threw it inside, and walked away, his perfunctory gait lacking any semblance of the grace and skill it once declared.